Hi everyone, how are you today? So today, myself and Steve are joining you to talk to you a little bit more about Wired for Success. Today we will be doing an introduction of us, of each other, and also we will be telling you a little bit more about what is making us qualified into being here and in doing this project for young people, thanks to the Wired for Success program. So first of all, I'm going to let my dear colleague, Steve Costello, introduce himself and tell you a little bit more about himself so that you know who you are dealing with. Hey, Steve, if you would like to take over.
Yeah, thank you, Patience. I was just thinking about a story that goes back a long way into the past. I'm not going to go tell you how far back that is because that kind of gives a few things away, if you know what I mean. Anyway, so I used to go to a youth club. It was in my local community. It was a really cool place. We did all kinds of things, outdoor activities, rock climbing, caving, potholing. There was a disco once a month on a Friday night, and so on and so on. So it was a big social thing for young people. It was awesome. I really loved it. But we also did a lot of formal stuff as well. So courses, weekend courses, and they were all about living and young people growing and finding their place in the world. So I got involved in all those as well. And I had this incredible mentor called George, who was a youth worker. And after some years, by this time I was about 18, he kind of pushed me ever so gently towards youth work. And it felt right. It felt absolutely right. It wasn't just George's little pushes. So ultimately, I ended up going to university where I studied youth and community development, and I ended up with a degree because of that. And of course, a qualification is nothing without the experience. So I'd had a little bit, but I needed to get out in the big real world and work with young people and community groups. So I went to work near Croydon in South London for almost 3 years, which was an incredible experience because me, a little northern lad, had no experience of the big London town or the big smoke, as it's called, used to be called up north. So there I worked with young people who had found themselves on the wrong side of the law. Most young people were just young people. They didn't have challenges relating to the law and so on. But they all had challenges of adolescence and so on and so forth. So that's where I started, and that developed into a big career, a lot of postgraduate training. Ultimately, I ended up working in Germany with the British forces, and there I was working with young people and community groups, mostly wives and children, because the guys were all in the military, so they had a military job to do. And that led me into therapy, psychological therapy, and I qualified as a psychologist as well during the time I was working in Germany. So everything kind of expanded and exploded from working in a youth center to working in therapeutic conditions, or situations, I should say, rather than conditions. And that develops on. So my original psychology was all about what's wrong. But today, my emphasis has shifted. I've become very interested in positive psychology, because positive psychology is really exciting. It starts with what's good and what's right. It doesn't assume that everybody's broken and needs fixing. We've all got superpowers. So let's find out what those superpowers are and use those to overcome our challenges. So that's where I am. That's who I am.
Oh my
I have a
gosh.
family and so on, but I'm not going to go into that right now. But
wow, Steve, how can I come after you?
I know you can, Patience.
No, that's amazing. And what would you say? I mean, just give a little bit of clarification for people who are listening. What would you say is one of your motivation for getting involved with Wired for Success?
Going back to the very beginning, I talked about my mentor, George. He did some amazing things for all the young people that came under his responsibility. And he gave me a lot of good stuff. He helped me develop my confidence. I was quite a shy kid prior to meeting George, and that kind of changed. So I developed my confidence and all kinds of wonderful things. I developed skills that I would need in adult life, thanks to the things that George did. And what I want to do in a way is pass on some of that to the young people of now. We all need skills. We all need personal development skills. I've got the experience and the knowledge, and if I can share some of that, if I reach just one young person, then I've been successful. I hope to reach an awful lot more than one, but one would do. So.
That's amazing. I love that. All right.
So what happened with you, Patience? Where did you come from? I know your story is interesting. I'm not going to burst your bubble, though.
So basically, there's a lot, there's a lot, and maybe there's a few things you might not know, Steve. So you might also learn things just now. So the fact that you told this story, it just encourages me to also share a little bit of the story as well. And I think for me, I didn't realize that I was going to go into the path of working with young people. And to be honest with you, when I used to see youth workers in France, at the time, I was just thinking, why are they doing this work? I wasn't understanding what was beyond, like, what was the motivation. I wasn't understanding what was beyond just seeing them work. So for me, it was like, maybe they didn't find a job, so then they decided to work in the community. I know that sounds really bad, if I can say it like that, but things change. So I'm starting with the bad to go into the positive. But so basically, I moved to London really, really young. I was really young when I moved to London. And then I entered the active life really quickly. And I guess for me, I was missing some little emotional baggages that, like some baggages that you need to go into active life and to adulthood, if we can call it like that. And therefore, I had to learn, step by step as things were happening. That's how I had to learn, and I had to put myself out there. But through my learning, I ended up working with young people. And then it's as if like something else came out of me altogether. And all I wanted was for all those young people I was working with to thrive, to have an amazing life, to not go through the challenges I had, to understand that they had opportunities, and to really, really make sure that they use those opportunities and they went beyond what they believe were at the time. So I worked with young people for 10 years. I worked with young people who had substance misuse challenges, who were coming from offending backgrounds, who were in homelessness, who couldn't speak the language, who came from abroad. So I work with a diversity of young people. I also work with young people who had disability, and also other young people who had mental health challenges. So throughout those 10 years, I realized that this is something that I was really, really committed into, to give it my all. And I started learning a little bit more, and I started getting myself more involved in terms of not just doing the work, but going above and beyond and creating events for young people to take part in, and things like that. And then life happened, and I moved away from working in social care. And then I had, on the back of my mind, I had this kind of like, it's as if my subconscious were like, no, your work is not finished here. You still have things to do. And then, so it was there. And I was like, oh, I don't know, maybe one day I'll come back to it and I'll do this. When you're like kind of imagining things, and lockdown happened. And when lockdown happened, I felt for young people. I felt hard for young people. And I thought, what can I do or what can I bring that is really gonna uplift and give more to young people so that they can really thrive in their life. And that's when I started to go back by myself, not under an organization, but with my own skills into getting, certified as a coach and really going further into supporting young people and helping them create a world that, they'll be happy to live in, you know. Um, and so then that's what I did. And luckily, I was really lucky that you were on the path as well, Steve. And then we came up with Wired for Success.
Yeah, that is a great meeting. I think coming together like that was fantastic. And you said you were going to find it difficult to follow anything I just said. Well, I was locked in, completely locked in. I didn't even stop to consider a question. I just wanted to hear what was coming. It was great. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I think it's like perception. And, the reason why I started with saying that when I used to see youth workers, I was like, what's going on? Is because when we are doing our work now, young people might see us with another perception. But the idea of Wired for Success is that we are breaking that perception, not only with young people, but also with parents, also with organization. And what we really want to create and to bring is a kind of like holistic education, if I can say it like that, where it is not about, we are not gonna maybe teach skills that are gonna be like math or English, but the skills that we are gonna teach young people or we are gonna teach professionals through Wired for Success is what is going to also help create a better osmosis, if I can say, so that they can become adults that are ready to thrive.
Yeah, wonderful. Before we recorded this, I was working on another project, which is one of my one-on-one projects with adults. And one of the things that that was coming up, and this is based on what a client said to me, and my brain started ticking as it does. And I thought, what is another way to describe what I do? So as an adult, I'm working with therapy and coaching. I'm kind of blending the two depending on the needs. So I was thinking, well, what's another way to put what I do? And I came up with that what I'm aiming to do is to expand the awareness of potential of the people that I work with. And that's what I believe we're doing with young people as well. It's about expanding their awareness of their potential. We all miss some of our own potential, and it often takes, even now as an adult today, somebody will often say to me, you could do this really well. Well, really? Because I hadn't stopped to think about it, So I think expanding potential, if we can do that, we're doing a great job.
Yeah, and I'm sure we will. I'm sure we will. And I think this is important. It's crucial. It's crucial to support young people because, so basically, when you are supporting a young person for confidence, for example, and you help them develop their confidence level, it's not just about what you've done at that time. It's about the ripple effect of that confidence, because then they're more confident to go and look for opportunities out there that really suits them. They're able to have boundaries. They're able to have a better awareness of what is around them because they have that confidence. And I think that's exactly like you said, we're giving them a bit more of a boost.
Yeah.
A bit more fuel.
Absolutely. So we're going to be coming back soon to talk about what kind of things Wired for Success will be doing. So until then, let's say goodbye and see you all soon.
Bye, guys.